Hello everybody, my name is Votonymous, and today I'm going to be doing a tier list video on Evil Dead the game. I just got done playing the beta last weekend, and I will say I have not played every single survivor here, but I've played many matches, and I played a good fair amount of them. I'm going to be taking my best guess on how I think they would fare in whatever meta is going to happen, and how I think they are right now based off of their stats and their abilities. So let's get into it. So what we got going on here, we got Groovy for the S tier. Thought it was fitting. Good. Decent. Meh. And then Evil for absolute dog water. I also thought that was pretty fitting. Alright, so let's start off with Ash Williams from Ash vs. Evil Dead. So his main ability, he activates this explosion that damages enemies' balance bar. His first perk is El Jefe. It's an aura that affects all survivors within range, increasing their fear resistance and the damage they inflict. The next perk he has is Old Friend. He starts the match with the chainsaw. And his last perk, El Jefe Grande, enhances your aura's effects when you perform a finisher or dismember an enemy. So basically, this last perk just buffs his first perk. His stats are right here. His defense is alright. His melee weapons, it's alright. Ranged weapons, pretty meh. And his team assistance is pretty good. Overall, I think that Ash Williams is a decent character. I think he's good to start out with. I think that's what they made him for. He's just a good character to start out with if you're new. Otherwise, I don't think he does anything that's really groundbreaking. He helps out a little bit, and he helps himself a little bit by starting out with the chainsaw. So he's decent. He's alright. Alright, up next we have Annie Knowby. Her main ability, it increases range damage from Annie and any teammates who are near her. Howitzer, you and all teammates within this aura's effect radius deal more damage with ranged weapons, so it's basically her main ability. I assume they stack. Her second perk, Haymaker, attacks by you and your teammates within this aura's effect radius cause more damage to the balance bar of basic evil units. And then her last perk, Slugger, is basically Haymaker, but instead of basic evil units, it's elite and boss evil units. Here are her stats. She has pretty meh defense, same with melee weapons, but her ranged weapons is pretty decent, and her team assistance is the best it can be. So I would put Annie right with Ash. I think that she's pretty alright. I think she's fine. I think depleting the balance bar for every single evil unit is pretty good, especially giving that to her teammates as well. That's very useful. Also, making her and her teammates' ranged attacks better is also pretty good. But that's about it. She helps. She supports. She's alright. Alright. So next up we have Lord Arthur. Alright, get ready for this. Let me read you this nonsense. Hold on. His main ability. When activated, this ability increases the damage inflicted by your melee attacks and those of your nearby teammates, in addition to reducing fear levels. If Lord Arthur has a sword, he inflicts extra damage. So, he's already giving himself extra damage for melee weapons, and he's giving his teammate extra damage for melee weapons. He also reduces his own fear level, and I assume, I'm pretty sure, his teammates' fear levels as well, as long as they're around, I guess. Yes, nearby. But on top of that, if you have a sword, he does even more damage. So it gets nuts when you read his first perk. Weapon Master Heavy Attacks. You and all teammates within the aura's radius deal increased damage with heavy melee attacks. Start the match with a sword. You start the match with a sword, and you do better with your heavy attacks. And You do extra damage because you already have a sword. You're just given a sword, so you already do extra damage because you already have a sword. So your main ability is actually really good because you start out with a sword anyway. So that's really good. Weapon Master Light Attacks. So down here, you and all teammates within the aura's radius deal increased damage with light melee attacks. That's pretty good. Fuel the Fire. If you perform a finisher while the Lord's Wrath is active, the ability lasts longer. So, you're just the most powerful person ever, and you're giving your teammates a lot of power as well. You start out with a sword, you're really good with the sword, you're stronger with the sword, and then your last perk makes it so that as long as you do a finisher, your active ability lasts for a longer period of time. That is really, really good. Defense, decent. Melee weapons, really good. It's not the best. It's not the best it can be, but it's good. Ranged weapons, very bad. Team assistance, from what I can see, it's, yeah, okay, I think it goes up to here. It's all right. It's not bad. It's pretty good, actually. So honestly, with everything this guy can do, just don't focus on ranged weapons, and man, he's groovy. He's a groovy guy. Okay, next we have Ash Williams from Army of Darkness. So his main ability, will grant you health restoration, fear reduction, increased damage dealing, and reduction of damage received. That's pretty good. That's actually really good. His first perk is Shield Blast. Each time your shield loses a bar, it triggers an explosion, damaging any nearby enemy, which is also really good. His second perk, Finish Strong. After Ash kills an enemy with a finisher, he recovers part of his shield bar, which really helps out his first perk. And then Weapon Master Chainsaw. The chainsaw has a faster attack speed and deals increased health, balance bar, and dismemberment damage. Also fairly solid. Looking at his stats, his defense is good. His melee weapons, the best it can be. His ranged weapons, bad. His team assistance is kind of meh as well. But with his perks and his main ability being so good, I'm going to put him in good tier. Alright, next up, we have Scotty. So, Scotty, by the way, I didn't get to take a picture of his stats, unfortunately. I was a dummy, and I forgot to take a picture of it. So, we don't know what it is right now. But, his main ability, Explosive Special Move, damages all enemies in the surrounding area. Basically, a bomb, or almost like what Ash can do when he loses, or Army of Darkness Ash, when he loses his shield. I'd assume it's the same type of explosion. I didn't get to play Scotty, but I'd assume it's basically like a bomb. His first perk, Collateral Damage. Your heavy melee attacks inflict additional damage to nearby enemies, which is pretty good. So you're hurting more enemies by taking on one, which is good. Exposure Therapy is the second perk, partially reduces your fear levels with every enemy you kill. That's alright, that's not bad. And then Weapon Master Lumberjack Axe. The Lumberjack Axe has a faster attack speed and deals increased health, balance bar, and dismemberment damage. So this person, Scotty, is in the warrior class, along with Ash from Army of Darkness. I don't think he's as good as Ash from Army of Darkness, but I would put him in decent. Honestly, if we were to rank them, I'd put him above Annie, but I don't think his perks, especially Exposure Therapy, it's alright. Reducing fear levels for everybody you kill, it's fine, but honestly, it's not that hard to find matches in the game, and then there's like several spots in the area, or the whole map, to light a fire and reduce your fear. So it's not really an essential perk, especially since it's just him that gets that effect. Uh, so you know what? Nah, I'd put Annie above him a little bit. He's all right. He's not bad. I'd put him like at the bottom of decent. Okay, next up we have Henry the Red. Henry the Red's ability, or his main ability, temporarily prevents damage to health or shield, which is pretty nuts. You're basically just immune to everything for a little while. Shields up, starts the match with an additional shield bar, which is very useful, very good. Rebound reflects a percentage of the damage you receive back onto your attacker, which is also really good. We have Battle Hardened for the last perk, increases maximum health and shield bar length. This dude is tanky. This dude is tanky, and especially with his second perk, he can throw the damage he gets back onto the person who attacked him. Very, very good. Very good. And especially his main ability, being able to absolutely just prevent damage for a short period of time to health and shield. It's nuts. His stats, his defense is amazing. His melee weapon's also amazing. His range is bad, and his team assistance is bad, but his defense and melee is just too good to ignore. Honestly, I think he's the best warrior in the game. I would put him with Groovy along with Sir Arthur. Next up, we have Evil Dead 2 Ash. He is a hunter, and his ability is he's able to exorcise the demon from any possessed survivor or basic unit. If used on a possessed elite or boss unit, the ability drains some infernal energy from the demon. Super useful. Super useful. Demons, anybody who plays the Kandarian demon just loves to possess the survivors, so this being able to completely just bonk them out of any survivor and basic unit is amazing, and then being able to use it on a boss or elite unit that's being possessed, taking away the infernal energy, it's just it's a fantastic main ability. We got Treasure Hunter, see supply crates through walls at close range. I don't think that's really needed. I'm pretty sure the crates make a noise anyway, so that perk is alright. It's whatever. I'm the guy with the double barrel. Start the match with the double barrel. Makes it easier for you because now you don't need to find another gun. And Weapon Master, Double Barrel. The Double Barrel has a faster attack speed and deals increased health, balance bar, and dismemberment damage. That's really good. Starting out with a weapon and then being a Weapon Master of that weapon is really useful. So these two last perks and his main ability are fantastic. His first perk is fine. I could take it or leave it. Looking at his stats, his defense is meh. His melee weapons, bad. Range weapons, the best it can be. And team assistance is pretty good. He's a really good survivor. His main ability alone should put him at Groovy. I don't know if I want to put him at the top of good or Groovy. His first perk is kind of holding me back from putting him at Groovy, but his last two perks and his main ability are just too good. I'm gonna... Because of his first perk, I'm gonna put him at good. I'm gonna see how his first perk handles. I feel like it's kind of useless, but for right now, I'm just gonna say he's at least at the very top of good. He is a really good character, though. His main ability alone should just be Groovy, but because of his first perk, I gotta hold him back a little bit. Ed Getley is next. He also is a hunter. His main ability grants use of a unique flashlight that allows you to detect and temporarily disarm demon traps, which is fine. Enduring Light is his first perk, increases the battery life of your flashlight. That's pretty good. Weapon Master, Crossbow is the second perk. The crossbow has a faster attack speed, deals increased health, balance bar, and dismemberment damage. And then his last perk is the Collector, increases the chance that defeated enemies will drop items, also improves chances of finding crates with higher rarity. Okay, Oh, let's take a look at his stats. Hold on. Defense, meh. Melee weapons, bad. Ranged weapons, best it can be. Team assistance, I think it goes up to here, so that's good. I don't think his main ability is really that useful, only because I've played a lot of games, and the only traps I ever see are the ones that open up a portal where a demon will fly out and attack you. That's the one Kandarian demons use the most so far. I have seen a few tree traps, and I barely see crate traps. So it's not a bad main ability. His perk, making his flashlight last longer, is also okay. It's not that great. Crossbow is fine. That's of course great, but you don't get to start out with a crossbow, so that's kind of it's whatever. You have to hope that you could find one. And then his last ability, or last perk, is whatever. So honestly, I would put him in meh for now. Up next, we have Kelly Maxwell. Kelly, her main ability, she dodges without using any stamina, and your range attacks cause bleeding damage to your target for a short period of time. That's pretty good. Dodging is really good, and without using stamina for it, that alone is really good. And then the bonus of the range attacks causing bleeding damage is also very good. Weapon Master Meat Hammer, same as every other Weapon Master, but just a meat hammer. Counter Shot is her second perk. Your next range attack after a successful dodge inflicts bleeding damage on your target for a short time. And then her last perk, Battle Frenzy, your melee damage increases the longer you are in sustained combat. Taking a look at her stats, her defense is good, her melee weapons is meh, her ranged is good, and her team assistance is meh. She is the only hunter that I wouldn't mind actually using melee weapons for, because every other hunter's melee weapon stats are pretty bad, but it seems like Kelly is a little bit more balanced. So if you like range, or if you like using range weapons more than melee, but you still want to use melee and be decent with it, Kelly is the person you would want to use. So I think she's actually pretty good. I think that she's top of decent, at least. If I can get... There we go. I think she's top of decent. I would even put her at the bottom of good. I just think that... Look, Weapon Master Meat Hammer is completely fine. It's just... if you don't get to start out with the weapon that you're a master of, you have to go crazy trying to find that weapon to begin with. And she's okay with melee weapons as it is, so if she needs to find the meat hammer, you know, you're going to be going crazy searching for it. So I think that's what kind of puts her in decent and not good for me. But everything else is pretty solid, so I'd put her at top of decent. Alright, and for the last hunter on the list, Amanda Fisher. Her ability allows you to temporarily fire your ranged weapons without expending any ammunition. That is fantastic. Her first perk, Trusty Sidearm, starts the match with a pistol. That is pretty good, but it makes it even better when her second perk is Weapon Master Pistol. This is amazing. You get to start out with pistol, and you're a weapon master of the pistol. And her main ability allows you to not expend any ammunition. So you get to use your pistol for however many seconds it is, for however long the ability lasts for, without worrying about ammunition. And you're a weapon master of it. It's fantastic, and her last perk, Accuracy Counts, damage dealt by your ranged weapons increased with each consecutive hit. So that works with the main ability as well, because you can have consecutive hits because you're not wasting any ammunition. It's fantastic, and you already have a pistol. She's just too good, honestly. I put her at Groovy. I'd put her... I don't know, I think everybody at Groovy is pretty equal. But I'd put her at Groovy. She's great. She has fantastic perks. Her main ability works so well with every single one of her perks. She's just a great character. Oh, I forgot. my bad. Looking at her stats, defense, meh. Her melee weapons, bad. Her ranged weapons, fantastic. And her team assistance is meh as well. But you know what? For how good her perks and a main ability are, and with her stats for ranged weapons being as high as they can be, she's great. She's a great character to choose. Okay, next we have Ash from Evil Dead 1, the first Evil Dead movie. He is a support type. His ability reduces fear levels for you and nearby teammates. His first perk, Alternative Healing. Successful heavy melee attacks partially restore health for you and nearby teammates. And then he's got 2 marked target perks. His second perk, marked target damage. Headshots will mark the target. A follow-up shot from a teammate will deal additional damage. And then marked target healing. Headshots will mark the target. A follow-up shot from a teammate will restore a percentage of the damage back to them as health. So both of the marked targets work together very well. Does more damage to the Deadite, and also helps your teammate heal. The main ability, taking away fear for yourself and teammates, is pretty good as well. Successful heavy melee attacks, giving health for you and nearby teammates. He's a pretty good character. I would honestly put him as a good unit. Good character to play as for support. I almost forgot, looking at his stats, defense, good, his melee weapons, good, his ranged weapons, good, his team assistance is fantastic. So, yeah, I stand by putting him in the good tier. Okay, this character is insane. Cheryl Williams is the Mercy of Evil Dead the game. If anybody has ever played Overwatch, she is the Mercy of this game. Her ability creates a healing zone for you and your teammates. Now, that's more like Soldier 76, but she heals you, herself, and your teammates, which is fantastic. Cola Coaster. Carry more Shemp's Cola and start the match with an extra one in your inventory. That's pretty good. But it makes it even better when her second perk is Contact Courage. Drinking a Shemp's Cola partially reduces your fear and the fear of nearby teammates. That's great. And then Contact Healing. When you drink a Shemp's Cola, nearby teammates will also gain health. So just by you drinking a Shemp's Cola, you reduce your fear and your teammates' fear, and you also give yourself health, and your teammates get health as well. And her main ability, dropping health for everybody, that's fantastic. And she's able to carry more Shemp's Cola, and she starts out with one. She's probably the best character in the game, quite honestly. Just with the support, she's fantastic. Looking at her stats, it's the exact same as Ash, actually. Good with everything, but her team assistance is fantastic. She's a great character. She's probably the best one in the game, quite honestly. Alright, and last on the list is Pablo. He's a support character. I think he's the weakest support character in the game. I also think he's very selfish, especially for a support character. So his main ability, he crafts an amulet. He creates an amulet, and then he drops it to the ground on completion. You could pick it right back up if you wanted to, but it's supposed to be meant for crafting an amulet for other survivors. Amulets give you a shield bar. His first perk, Infernal Camouflage. Demons are no longer able to detect you using demon vision. That's great for you. Really bad support, because all that does is help you out. Legacy of El Brujo. Begin the match with an additional amulet. So that's fine. He's the amulet man, basically. And then Shamanic Protection. Your shield bar will gradually recover over time until you have at least one full bar. So that's pretty good, but here's the thing. He's not really good with supporting. He supports himself. He gives himself a full bar. He gives himself no longer being detected from demon vision. which is great for him. It's not bad perks for him. That's great, but it's very bad for support. Crafting an amulet is fine. That's not a bad main ability. Starting out with an amulet in the beginning of the match is, I guess, fine, but you only start out with one, and it's not like you could carry more, like with Cheryl, like how Cheryl can carry more Shem's Cola. Pablo can't carry more amulets, which is kind of weird, kind of seems like a miss. I honestly, okay, we'll look at his stats real quick. Looking at his stats, same exact stats as the other two support characters. So, his perks aren't necessarily bad, and his main ability isn't necessarily bad, it's just very selfish. Like, why would you pick Pablo over Cheryl? Why would you pick Pablo even over Evil Dead 1 Ash, you know? I feel like those two characters support a lot better, and Pablo is just the amulet character, but he's not even good at that because, sure, he can craft an amulet when you use his main ability, so he could craft as many as you can craft within the game, as long as the game is going, but his perk for starting out with an amulet is alright, but it doesn't give him more amulets to carry, so that he could collect them and then drop them for people, because that's what he seems like. That's the character he seems to be. He gets amulets, he drops them for people, they pick it up so that they could use it. I would put him in meh, because honestly, I don't think any survivor in the game is bad, but you know what? If I were to put him in based off of being a supportive character, I would put him in evil, because quite honestly, he's a very selfish character. But he does get to help himself out. Not being detected by demon vision is fine, but then again, if you're with your teammates, it doesn't really matter, because the demon's gonna find you anyway, because you're hanging around your teammates. Oh, you know what? Nah, he's evil. He's pretty bad. That perk is pretty bad. It's only useful if you're out on your own. And he's supposed to be a support character. So, I'd put him in evil. Yeah. So, this is it. This is my tier list for the survivors in Evil Dead the game, based off of their stats and their perks and ability. So, yeah. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think about this tier list. If you want to do this yourself, I have this tier list up on this website. Go check it out. I might put the link for it in the description if I remember. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.